Got all the space in the world here. I'm hitting the mic, hitting the mic. I'm rough around the edges right now with some of my jabs and my uppercuts. What's going on, everybody? Thank you very much for being here. Lakers over the Nuggets, 115-107. Really, really impressive win for the Lakers. Completely two different halves, completely two different teams, if I'm being completely honest with everybody. Between the first 24 minutes versus the second 24 minutes. And I think there's a lot that we can get into tonight. The one thing I will say before we get started, if this team can just figure out a way to play a little bit of defense every single night. Nobody's saying you got to go be the I don't know, the 90s Bulls or the 80s Pistons or the Lakers Showtime. Nobody's saying you got to be the greatest NBA team defensively out there. But for the love of God, if you could just play a little bit of defense, maybe you can get more results like you got tonight. Lakers over the Nuggets, 115-107. I appreciate you guys tuning into the postgame show. We got a lot of stuff that we can hit on. We'll talk about Luka's triple-double. We'll talk about LeBron, Marcus Smart, Drew Timme again. I thought Jackson Hayes gave the Lakers some really quality minutes. So there's a lot to get into in a game that was a very, very important first road game of an 8-game road trip for the Lakers. Now I know it's kind of a little wonky. They get to go home. They'll be at home. I'm assuming they're flying back tonight. They'll get back home. They'll get a chance to play the Clippers. They'll fly back out again probably on Friday. So it's not your typical road trip, but still getting your first game on an 8-game road trip is obviously key for the Lakers. They were able to do it tonight. Thank you for being here. Please subscribe to the channel if you guys don't mind. And I'll do my best to get to all the comments, and we'll certainly talk about kind of the ups and downs of this Lakers game. Let me first kind of say this before I get into any details of the game. This is a very big win for the Lakers. Now, I could also make an argument here, and I could say that the Lakers should have won this game because of all the injuries that the Denver Nuggets have. But to be honest with you, there's a little bit, at least from my perspective right now, I just want to see a couple week stretch of some good basketball from the Lakers, some consistency from the Lakers, an identity that has somewhat of a defense that's involved. And Lakers went down by 16 points. They were down at 14 at the half. And you kind of thought there for a second, to be honest with you, this started kind of going back. The first thing that went to my mind when Lakers are down 14 at the half, got it all the way down to 6. Jamal Murray, I don't know, single-handedly, probably by himself, had an 8-0 run to make it a 14-point game at the half. I started thinking about just the wild swings of the Lakers over the course of the last week or so. What I'm talking about from that perspective was the wild kind of terrible loss against the Kings, then the great win against the Hawks, then the awful loss against the Hornets, bad loss against the Blazers, then a great win against the Toronto Raptors. And you thought by the time the first half was done against the Denver Nuggets, it's like Lakers going to do this all over again. They're going to have one of those games again where they just don't show up. They don't play any defense, and they don't give themselves a shot of winning this game. But what ended up churning around, and the only reason why the Lakers got in this game, I could sit here, I could point out all the great offensive possessions, and Luka did this, and Marcus Smart was clutch, and some of LeBron's dunks were amazing. Lakers won this game in a matter. If you're a basketball fan, you get it. If you're a casual fan, maybe it's not something that rings a bell to you because it's not sexy. They won the game because they got stops. I mean, they were brilliant in the second half defensively. Did you guys see what they did to Jamal Murray? And I'm surprised Denver didn't make any adjustments on it. But the Lakers basically said, anybody but Jamal Murray. And Denver said, we don't have anybody else. Jamal Murray's our engine. He's our guy without Nikola Jokic. Either he's getting our offense going or nobody else can. And I thought they just kind of forced it with Jamal Murray. And the Lakers, frankly, they didn't have to make any adjustments. They said, all right, this is what we're going to do. If Jamal Murray's got the ball top of the key, they want to run some type of screen and roll, that's fine. We are throwing a secondary defender, and then it's up to the Lakers to rotate properly, or it's up to Denver to swing the ball properly and get the buckets that they're looking for. But they won this game because Jamal Murray had 2 points in the second half. They won this game because they gave up 17 points in the third quarter. And they won this game because they gave up 19 points in the fourth quarter. Um, Very simply put, they were able to hang in this game on the road when they were down 16 is because they were able to get stops. That's why I, sit here and I always emphasize with you guys, and I know you guys understand this. No, I'm not breaking any news here, but in the NBA and in this league, if you want shots and chances to win games and go on good win streaks and be taken seriously in the Western Conference, you better play some defense. And a lot of the reason why a lot of NBA experts out there don't want to take the Lakers serious is because they don't have enough games like this. Again, I get it. There's Nikola Jokic isn't playing. I get it. I understand it. This is not the same Denver team that you'd be facing in the postseason. Absolutely. No question about that. But if I'm being honest with you, I don't think it matters on January 20th. On January 20th, I don't think it matters who's necessarily playing right now just because the Lakers are just trying to build their own momentum. They're trying to find their own identity. They're trying to put themselves in a position that at least for a night or two, they could look up in the standings and not fall. If they'd have lost tonight, they would have dropped into that number 7 spot below Phoenix. I think Phoenix had moved up already, but they're probably behind the Lakers now. I think Minnesota lost. Maybe that drops them. I know Houston moved up a spot, and then the Lakers also picked up a game on the Denver Nuggets. I understand that you're not going to make a determination of who the Lakers are in a road game on January 20th against the Denver Nuggets, who don't have the best player in the world. But I just don't think that really matters right now for the Lakers. I think what matters most is they've kind of put themselves in a position where they can have 2 good wins in a row, 2 games against teams above 500. Got the win against the Toronto Raptors, obviously, a couple nights ago. They got this one against the Denver Nuggets. That part was phenomenal. Let me go through a couple of the players here. I want to spend a little bit of time talking about. I'm going to get into Luka. I'll get into LeBron. Just give me a second to do that. I want to talk about a couple other players here real quick. I thought Jackson Hayes in that second half, DeAndre Ayton not able to go. Just listening to JJ Redick. For those who maybe you asked a question, hey, why don't I go live right after the games? I want to listen to JJ Redick talk. I feel like my post-game show is better when I at least have that content. At least I can hear that interview, and then it kind of helps me tidy up a couple of things before we get going. So I'm listening to JJ Redick. He said Marcus or DeAndre Ayton's got a really, really bad. He got poked in the eye pretty good, so he wasn't able to go in the second half. Jackson Hayes, couple of good lobs. Really nice energy from him. Just don't have him go to the free throw line because it's pretty ugly. But did his job. 9 points, 5 rebounds, plus 16 in the plus minus. I want to give Jackson Hayes a little bit credit. Let me kind of keep going to the list. I'm going to get to the main players. Don't worry about that. We'll get to the main players. Here's another game for Drew Timme. In just 11 minutes of play, 9 points, 3 rebounds, 4 of 6 from the field, hit a three-pointer. The only case I'm going to make for Drew Timme is keep giving the man some minutes, and nobody's saying you got to play him 35 minutes a night, but he's at least making a case in some of these last couple of games, really his first opportunity as a Laker, where he's getting minutes at a critical juncture of the game or just at the beginning of the game. And he's making a case, just give me some opportunities. Again, you don't got to play him 30 minutes, but give Drew Timme some opportunities. He had a nice first half for the Lakers, kind of blitzed the Denver Nuggets and had a couple of different buckets. Rui Hachimura, 9 points for him, the 6 rebounds. I know he struggled from the field. I know it wasn't perfect, but he's still kind of working his way back. I like the 6 rebounds. He wasn't efficient from the field. So just a couple of bench players I want to point out. Gabe Vincent gave you 5. It's just not very common that we could sit here and say the Lakers gave you 32 points off the bench. That doesn't typically happen. All right, now I could go hit on the starters. And then once I'm done with the starters, I'll come look at some of your guys' comments here. I thought Marcus Smart had some big-time moments there, specifically in that fourth quarter. 15 points, hit some big shots, obviously, for the Lakers. And then you got your stars. LeBron didn't get off to a good start, kind of was trying to find his rhythm. 19 points, 9 rebounds, 8 assists, 6 turnovers. Obviously, you can't have that many turnovers. Was a plus 13 in the plus minus. And then Luka, 36 minutes of play, 38, 13 and 10, had a couple steals as well. So for the team, that kind of shows you what they did offensively, but they won this game because they played collectively on the defensive side. And frankly, that's the only thing that I care about. I think that's the only thing that matters. And that's what made tonight's game an impressive win for the Lakers because they did it on the defensive side. They didn't have to try to outscore the Denver Nuggets by dropping 125 or 130. You guys know I hate that recipe, and that's not a recipe for sustained success. But they got the win because they were able to get stops. And if you're able to get stops, that's not because of Luka. That's not because of LeBron. That's not because of an individual player. It's because collectively they were good collectively. Vando had an impact on the defensive side. I thought Jake LaRavia had an impact on the defensive side. So there were a number of players for the Lakers that were able to contribute tonight. And primarily, like I mentioned, it's because of what they were doing on the defensive side of the ball. So overall, a really, really nice win for the Lakers. One that was needed. It's funny. I kind of walking into tonight's game, I was saying to myself, I'm like, I think they can win this game. Like, why wouldn't they be able to win this game? It's not like Denver's got, all their studs and Nikola Jokic and they've been playing great basketball. Denver, I think now has lost a couple games in a row. They're kind of coming back down to reality. I think the idea and the concept when Nikola Jokic came out was if they just played 500 ball, they'd be probably happy with that. They've maintained their level in the standings, but they have a couple of losses here. So that gap between them and some of these other teams is obviously it's getting smaller and smaller. And that gap, I don't know. I know San Antonio lost today, so they're probably still within a couple of games. We'll get to the standings in a little bit in regards to that. All right, let me take a look at some of the comments here. And I appreciate you guys all being here. Thank you for being a part of the show. Let's get one here real quick. Luka, plus minus is becoming concerning. I almost dread when he comes back into games during the fourth. LeBron-led units just looks better, offense and defense. I mean, you kind of pick and choose because there were times LeBron was leading the unit early on. It didn't look good. And then there were some other times, like you mentioned, it looked a lot better. I don't know what your suggestion is. Is your suggestion to do what with Luka? Because Luka's got that. Luka can do something that only a handful of players in the NBA can do. And I appreciate the super here. So thank you for throwing that in. But there's only a handful of players that can do what Luka can do. And it's not a lot of players in the league that have this capability like Luka. Luka can throw daggers. Luka can end a game. Luka can hit a big shot that basically the opposing fans start saying, all right, what do you think? Should we just take off and listen to the rest of the game on the radio or just let's get the hell out of this arena because our team's not going to win? Luka has that ability he's a killer. When Luka's going, he's a killer. Maybe his plus minus isn't what you wanted to see it tonight, but I'll tell you what the plus minus was tonight, 38, 13, and 10. So I don't know what you want me to do with the plus minus in regards to that. I think I kind of looked at the plus minus tonight and said, wow, look at Jackson Hayes. Wow, look at some of these other players who had a higher plus minus. But I thought Luka was really good tonight. I thought he was really, really good tonight. Is there still the, complaining this, that? Okay, yeah, that's there. The one thing I actually really liked about Luka tonight for me, I've been mentioning this. I mentioned this after the game against Toronto that I think the Lakers are better off when Luka is trying to get others involved early on rather than just himself, because I think it's so important for everybody else to have some type of a rhythm. If the Lakers don't win as a team, they're not going to win. There's no ISO ball that gets anything done. I could tell you that. And I think most NBA fans know that. Most basketball fans know that. But here's something that I will say. Ideally, it wasn't ideal in the first quarter. And I would say even in the first half, Luka had most of his points came in the first 12 minutes of the game. And by the time you got to halftime, I think he was at 26, maybe something like that. I might be off by a couple of points. My point is that in the second half, I thought that ball was swinging a lot more from Luka. And he was able to obviously do some other things rather than just focus on the offensive end. Listen, I'm not here trying to tell you that Luka should shoot less, but what I will tell you is that I think if he's more strategic, that helps the Lakers. And I only say that because I think some of these other guys need to get into some type of rhythm offensively to give you the type of games you need from them defensively. I know that's a little bit backwards. Trust me. I think the game of basketball should be played on defense first. Offense will take care of itself. But today's NBA it seems to be backwards. All right. Thank you for the super, brother. I appreciate it. Let me get a couple other comments in here. I know we got a lot of comments that are waiting. Let me see what we got here. We'll take any W against those ones, even half a point. I'm with you on that. 100%. 100%. And like I said today, or like I said a little bit earlier, you're not at a stage right now, if you're the Lakers, where you can pick and choose W's, where you can get them. And getting a win, if I'm being completely honest with you, whether this was the Wizards or this was the Denver Nuggets, Denver's not an easy place to play. Just take the W. Whether they were fully healthy or they were missing some key players, who cares? I mean, the Lakers have had plenty games like this as well where they've had these issues. This has obviously happened a number of different times for the Lakers where they're not 100%. All right, other teams, they're not going to sympathize. I mean, they would prefer that of course, every team is healthy, but the reality is there are a lot of teams that have taken advantage of the Lakers and their lack of health or their lack of availability for some of their players. Second half game plan won the game. Yeah, I think again, I go back to this, and there's a moment in this game that I think it should give you a little bit of optimism. In order for the Lakers to win this game, Luka didn't have to go off for 20 in the fourth quarter, and LeBron didn't have to have some unbelievable night. It was a well-balanced game. Now, I know, listen, Luka killed it. He went off in his own right with his triple-double, 38, 13, and 10. But I think you guys know what I'm referring to. There was a balance tonight. There was, hey, Marcus Smart could be a threat. Rui can hit a couple of shots for you. A couple other guys can get to the free throw line. Jackson Hayes can be a lob threat. Obviously, LeBron is going to get his. Of course, Luka can get his at any point. So I do think there was a little bit of a balance from that perspective. But you said that second half plan won the game. I guarantee you, JJ Redick and his coaching staff was talking about how they stopped Jamal Murray. They kept Aaron Gordon under control. They didn't really if a couple of these other players were Tim Hardaway Jr. is taking tough shots, they're going to live with that. And I think that's exactly what you have to do. You have to live with it. Don't forget as well, Denver started the game 9 for 11 from the three-point line. So I'm going to look at a couple of the stats here. Aaron Gordon, only 9 shot attempts, went 6 of 9 from the field. I was a little surprised, actually, that Denver didn't try to run some things through either Peyton Watson there when they kept doubling Jamal Murray. I would have got Jamal Murray off the ball and see if you can get him involved then, or maybe they should have put Aaron Gordon on the ball. But I'm a little surprised Denver didn't kind of make their adjustments. I felt like the Lakers made theirs, and Denver really didn't know how to respond. It's like, look, we got one way to win, and that's if Jamal Murray is leading this thing. So shout out to the Lakers for finding a way there. Tim Hardaway Jr. shot 2 of 12 from the field, 0 of 8 from the three-point line. Jamal Murray, 28 points, but only 2 points in the second half. We obviously talked about that. And then they had some other, but I thought Spencer Jones was nice for them. He had a nice game for them. They didn't have much contributions off the bench. Bruce Brown, just 2 of 6 from the field. Tim Hardaway Jr., just 2 of 12 from the field. So Lakers defensively kind of handled a lot of those guys, if I'm being honest with you. They did a fantastic job from that perspective. All right, I'm going to look at some more comments here and start kind of putting them in. Whatever you guys want to hit on, we could start hitting on. Remember, this is just the first game of an 8-game road trip for the Lakers. So it really kind of puts the Lakers in a situation where they could feel like they got, by the way, they got a little bit of momentum. They do. You beat Toronto and you beat Denver. 2 teams that are above 500. And for the Lakers, if you go look at the Western Conference, not everybody's playing perfect. So teams are kind of beating up on each other. They're losing to each other. They're losing against good teams. They're losing against bad teams. So if I'm the Lakers, there is a little bit of momentum here. And I don't know if Kawhi is going to play on Thursday when the Lakers take on the Clippers. I'm not sure if he is. I know obviously he didn't play, left their road trip, came back to LA. We'll find out if he goes or if he doesn't. But okay, can you string together 3 in a row? And now all of a sudden, that stretch that you had there becomes further and further behind, and you feel like you're getting in a little bit more of a rhythm. Got to give a shout out here to one of our partners. Shout out to Brad Wallace and the Wallace firm. Serious injury, wrongful death case. They're the best injury attorneys in the state of California. How do you get in touch with them? wallacewins.com/Sliwa. Go to that website, get a free consultation. I'm happy to make an introduction to Brad Wallace. If you might ask, hey, how did Alan start this partnership with Brad Wallace and the Wallace Firm? I've known him for about 6 years. When I was on radio, he was sponsoring a lot of different things that I was doing on radio. I come here on YouTube, he's doing the same thing. So big Laker fan, obviously somebody that wants to help our listener base and has done it before. He could help you as well if you're ever in a situation. I hope you're never in that predicament or situation, but if you are, wallacewins.com/Sliwa, wallacewins.com/Sliwa. Okay. Some more comments here. I want to do some more comments, and then I got a couple other things that I want to bring up in regards to not just the game, but kind of big picture for the Lakers. Give us one position or player we need most at the trade deadline, Slee. Yeah, I think they need – I'm going to give you position because I think if I'm saying a player, honestly, it's probably a waste of everybody's time. But if I give you players, you're going to know what type of player they're looking for. If I say Andrew Wiggins, or if I say Herb Jones, or if I say Trey Murphy III, or if I say I'm just kind of trying to think here off the top of my head, a lot of these players are all 3-and-D guys. That's what the Lakers need. That essentially is how the Lakers are at least going to put themselves in a position to make potentially a respectable run. Here's how they're going to have a respectable run. They're going to need all their players to be healthy. They're going to need to still keep a lot of their assets if they're going to go get a player that, obviously has some worth, not just for this year, but for years to come. And they're going to probably need some good fortune from a health perspective. Austin Reeves back, Luka doing his thing, and all these other role players performing well. They're going to need a lot. But if you're asking before the deadline, which is coming up on February 5th, I think we all kind of know the prototypical player that the Lakers need, what that type of player looks like. He's a guy that can play both sides of the floor, and he's a threat from the three-point line. So I think everybody would agree that's the most important need for the Lakers. All right, let me see what we got. All right, what do we have here? Let me see this. When do we trade Gabe Vincent? Well, you know why Gabe, if he gets traded to another team, you know why that happened. Just because it's an expiring contract. Not that matters. However, you can get the type of player that you need. But I've said this before. I'll obviously say it again. I mean, clearly Gabe Vincent has not been the type of player that the Lakers hoped when they signed him. And, we'll obviously see what eventually happens. But the players that you really kind of look at in regards to who could go out for the Lakers, I think it's Rui Hachimura, even though I'd like to hold on to Rui Hachimura. I think it's Jared Vanderbilt. Of course, guys like Maxi Kleba, Gabe Vincent, Dalton Connect. Those are the names that are most likely, if anyone is to go out, those are probably the guys that go out, plus any draft compensation and whatever the Lakers are able to do. I see a lot of people giving Drew Timme some love, as they should, if I'm being, kind of one of those interesting situations. If you told me a week ago that there'd be a lot of Laker fans trying to give praise to Drew Timme, I'd be like, I don't know what you guys are talking about. Why would they be doing that? I don't think that's going to be the case. No, a lot of people are giving him praise. And frankly, he deserves it. And that's why I said what I said a little bit earlier. Keep giving him opportunities. And I think JJ Redick will. Redick had said something after the last game the Lakers had against the Toronto Raptors. He basically said something in regards to he played good enough against Portland, so I wanted to play him against Toronto. Well, he played good enough against Denver that I think he's going to get some opportunities against the Los Angeles Clippers coming up on Thursday. He deserves it. I mean, that's just the best way that I can put it. He deserves it. And that's what you want to see. You want to see guys get opportunities because they did something to earn it. And I don't think anyone can really argue that Jackson, or I say Jackson Hayes because he's on the TV right now. I don't know what he's wearing, by the way. I mean, maybe it's snowing in Denver and it's super cold. I'm going to give him credit from that perspective. But that's why Drew Timmy's getting some opportunities, and he deserves it. And hopefully he keeps getting them. 2 wins against 2 playoff teams. Let's talk about that. a little bit of a this one feels a little different than Atlanta or than Toronto, and I'll tell you why. It feels a little bit different because the Toronto game, I could kind of tie the Toronto game to other really good games that they've had, but then they'll follow that up with a bad loss. Today, there was no reason why the Lakers, based off of what I've seen from them most of this season, when they went down 16, that this was not just a wrap in Denver. And I thought they showed a little bit of fight tonight. I thought they showed, I thought they showed a little bit of, no, we're going to stick to our game plan. We're going to make a couple adjustments. We're just going to keep playing hard for 48 minutes and we're going to take our chances. That hasn't exactly been the Los Angeles Lakers this year. Early in the season, that was the Lakers, but it hasn't been for the last 30 days. They had to fight a little bit for this one. They had to kind of claw a little bit for this one. This one had to be a little bit ugly in those last 10 minutes of the game to get this win. What's crazy is how that swing just went, like you look up at the scoreboard and what the hell they're up 10? Denver couldn't score. Denver really didn't do a good enough job, I think, of making some adjustments, and the Lakers just kind of hammered away at something that was working. And why should the Lakers change strategy if Denver's not going to change strategy? And Denver couldn't score in that second half. They go 17 and 18. What'd they score? They scored 30, 19, 29, 39, 36 points in that second half. 36 in the second. They scored 37 in the first quarter, and they only put up 36 in the second half. By the way, it's not uncommon to have a really, really good defensive quarter. To have a really good defensive half, that ain't easy. Guys, 36 points in the second half. If I go back and look at some of these games Lakers were getting blown out, they're giving up 35s left and right in a quarter. They gave up 37 in the first quarter. They only give up 36 points in the entire second half. That's pretty damn impressive. That is very, very impressive. Our only serious asset at the trade deadline is the first rounder. It is the first rounder, and then it's also expiring contracts. I'd also tell you, according to some of those reports that were out there, Lakers are going to try to take this first rounder that they have in 2032. Can they trade it to get multiple first rounders that are further in the first round? We'll see how creative they can be. And that's probably what it's going to take if the Lakers have any shot of getting one of these more significant 3-and-D players that they're targeting or that they've been targeting. Luka, a.k.a. Legion of 3-point boom defense. Luka wasn't terrible on defense tonight. Got a couple, what was that lob they're trying to throw to? I'm trying to think. Maybe they were trying to throw it to Aaron Gordon, and Luka kind of came across the court, batted it away, and then Lakers got the ball, went on a fast break. I'm keeping Rui, Vando, and Hayes unless it's a starter. Listen, I've said this before. I'd like to keep Rui. I would. Part of the reason why I want to keep Rui as well is you need talent. You need as many assets as you can have. And hypothetically, if you were able to get a 3-and-D player and Rui, you still got Rui, and he's either coming off your bench or whatever the case is. Now you got just another asset. They need talent. So they're going to have to be very creative. We'll see, what happens between now and the trade deadline, but clearly we all know what the Lakers need. We all kind of have a really, really good idea of what the Lakers need. All right. I want to start. I want to look at scores around the NBA. I want to take a look at the standings. I want to talk Lakers and the Clippers. So we're going to do all three of those things. Before I do so, let's also give love to another partner of ours, Harris Resort SoCal. So I'm all set. I'm going to be there on Friday. I'm actually going up on Thursday, January 29th. I'm going to be meeting with a couple of people there, some meetings that I have there. I'm looking forward to have a dinner over at Hell's Kitchen. I've told you guys, I think one of the best restaurants in Southern California, Gordon Ramsay's Hell's Kitchen. Guys, they're a partner. We got a phenomenal resort that is a part of the show, a part of the channel, and I'm working on a package coming up here pretty soon. I'm still kind of working on the details that we're going to give away on the channel. We're going to give away on the show. So we're going to get a listener that's going to get a pretty cool package from Harris Resort. So I'm looking forward to sharing that with you guys here coming up pretty soon. I'm looking forward to going to um, uh, obviously being at the property, but I'm going to do my morning show from there on January 30th. So I'm looking forward to that. Really excited to have this as a partnership. If you're looking for a staycation, you want to be somewhere in Southern California, I got a very, very, very simple solution for you. Go to harrissocal.com, book a getaway that's within an hour, hour and a half, 2 hours of wherever you are in Southern California. It's a phenomenal resort located in North San Diego. So hope you guys take advantage of that, and I'll keep you guys posted on that giveaway coming up here pretty soon. But we're going to be taking care of a listener, and shout out to Harris for having that being one of their initiatives here on the channel. Okay, so next game for the Lakers is against the Clippers. Start of an 8-game road trip that we talked about. But let's do this here real quick while I got everybody here. Let's look at some scores around the NBA because there were a lot of good games, important games, games that affect the Western Conference. So let's take a quick look here. And then I actually have not got a chance to look at the standings since the Lakers won the game. So we're going to find out just how far or close or where the Lakers are based on some of the other games around the league. Okay, so Lakers obviously took business. Phoenix continues to win, guys. I mean, Phoenix is playing some good basketball. However you want to look at the Phoenix Suns, however you view them, I'm not telling you they're going to make a ton of noise come playoff time, but they're now 10 games over 500. Clippers lost to the Chicago Bulls. Obviously, no Kawhi Leonard there. This was, I watched most of the first half of this game, and San Antonio just dominated. And then I get ready to start watching the Lakers play because, both games were going on at the same time. Houston just dominates the fourth quarter. I don't even know how they won. I don't even know the details of this game. I just know that the Rockets came back on the San Antonio Spurs and won by 5. Big loss for the Lakers on this one. Minnesota loses to the Jazz. So they lose 127 to 122. I'm assuming Anthony Edwards, Ant playing in this game. Yep, Ant played. And wow, look at that. What a stud. Keontae George, 43. This dude's a stud. We've seen him play a couple of times against the Lakers. The guy's a nice player. Warriors lost, Heat over the Kings. What does that do in the standings to give everyone an idea? This is where we are. So Lakers creep back up to that number 5 spot. And if you kind of take a quick look here, with San Antonio losing, Denver losing, I mean, look how close this is. If Lakers would have lost tonight, they would have been in the number 7 spot. Minnesota, who's now on a 3-game losing streak, drop all the way back down to number 7. But this just kind of shows you an idea. You could be 26-16 where the Lakers are, and you're 3 games behind the number 2 spot, 2 in the loss column, and you're 1 game behind the Minnesota Timberwolves for the number 7 spot. You don't have room to breathe in the West. You just don't have room to breathe in the Western Conference. And the only thing that the Lakers can do, in my opinion, to give them any type of breathing room, play some defense. Play some damn defense. I mean, that's going to be everything for the Lakers. And if they could play defense, they're going to be in more of these games. And if they can't, they're not. Next game for the Lakers, I mentioned Thursday at 7, Lakers at the Clippers. Let's take a quick look at the Clippers. I want to see something here real quick. They had been playing some good basketball. They lost today, if I'm right. They lost to Chicago, but they had been playing some really good basketball before this, and probably now struggling just to simply put. Kawhi Leonard didn't play tonight, but they lost to Chicago. I want to see who played so we have an idea here. So John Collins, Zubats, James Harden, Chris Dunn, Kobe Sanders. So they had Brook Lopez played a little bit, Batum played a little bit. So they had most of their guys going. From an injury perspective, if we're looking at the Clippers, and that's going to be the question coming up on Thursday, can Kawhi go or can he not? Leonard will not play during the final 2 games of the Clippers road trip, so that obviously is a piece of this. Bogdanovich didn't travel on the trip. We know Derrick Jones Jr. is dealing with an injury. Bradley Beal gone for the season, so the Clippers obviously have their fair share of injuries. But the injury is the Kawhi piece. The question's going to come, once the Clippers play the Lakers, is Kawhi available? Look what they had been doing before this game, before this loss. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. They had won 7 of 8. 6 in a row and 7 of 8. So Clippers had been playing some good ball, and it will all come down to Will Kawhi Leonard be available? If he's available, then we kind of know that it's going to be a dogfight. If he's not available, Lakers, again, got another shot to take advantage of another team that's not 100% healthy. Let's take a look at some of the comments here. Show tomorrow, by the way, 8 a.m. Hope you guys can join tomorrow at 8 a.m. Both great defense in second half, Denver and Toronto. What'd they give up against Toronto? Let me look at this real quick. Man, when you do some of these games right now, you reach a point of the season where all the games are just mixing in. Gave up 26 in the third quarter against Toronto and 13 in the fourth quarter. Total, then they've given up 30 points in the fourth quarter in the last two games total. I mean, that's closing out a game. That is closing out a game. That's the only thing that really, honestly, would get me excited about this Lakers team is if they just simply start being a team that has a little bit more focus on the defensive side. Lakers played D in the second half. And let me tell you something else that I love and appreciate about this channel. There's a lot of kind of nuances to the game that you guys just already know and understand. I don't have to explain anything to anybody here. Obviously, that's going to be the difference of the Lakers winning and stacking up some wins. Let's see what we got here. Finally, JJ makes an adjustment in the second half. Really good adjustment. And I don't know if Denver just did not have confidence with trying something different, but if they're going to double Jamal Murray, top of the key, which is the easiest place to basically double him, unless maybe he's posting up and he's on one of the blocks, but that's not something Jamal Murray's going to do all the time, which also isn't a bad idea if they were to do that. But if they're going to clearly double Jamal Murray top of the key, why not take Jamal Murray off the ball? So I'm with you. JJ did make the proper adjustment, and I don't think Denver really reacted to it. It's almost like Denver's like, this is the best we got. Luka's that kind of player. You can't blame him for not being effective on defense. Same way with Messi or Ronaldo. Yeah, that's why. Listen, I will tell you this. For me with Luka, this is why it's so imperative that they build around him. Because you have to, all the pieces got to make sense because Luka's not going to be a primary defender. That's not why you're paying Luka the big bucks. It's not. I mean, listen, that doesn't mean he can't be, you don't want him to be the worst player every time he jumps on the floor, which probably most of the time he is on the defensive side. But he's so great and brilliant offensively. Obviously, he makes up and he justifies every dollar that he's worth and the value that he has. But I think the point that I'd make here is that's why it's so imperative this upcoming offseason and even by the NBA trade deadline, every move the Lakers make moving forward for as long as Luka's a Laker. Does this help Luka? That's it. That's all you pay attention to. Does it help him offensively? Does it help him defensively? Does it add another, I don't know, you want to call it a 3-and-D player, a lob threat? How does this player complement Luka? That's the only question that you got to ask. Good point to bring up, by the way. Sliwa, told you last show, Marcus Smart, legit third option. John, I got to tell you something. Not in good shape if the Lakers are using Marcus Smart as a third option. He might be a third option every once in a while, but Marcus Smart's not your third option. Really, the way it should be if Lakers are completely healthy, it's Luka, probably AR after that. LeBron's going to be able to do everything. So it's kind of almost the reason why I say Austin Reeves' second option is because I know LeBron can dish out 10 dimes, get you 9 rebounds, and still put up 25 to 30 points. It's more the AR piece that you want that attacking mentality, get to the free throw line. Because really, if AR is not giving you, from an offensive perspective, elite greatness, then, or as close to elite greatness as he can give, then it kind of takes away some of his value. After that, I'd like to see it be Ayton. or if it rotates, it's Ayton one night, Marcus Smart another night, Rui Hachimura another night. That's fine. Jake LaRavia, it doesn't really matter, but I don't think you really have a consistent player. And I don't think Marcus Smart is a consistent option for the Lakers offensively. There's some nights he struggles. There's sometimes he's efficient. He's aggressive. He's making the right plays. He's kind of sneaky with getting to the basket or drawing fouls, but that you can't depend on that every night. I think that part is clear. And you didn't bring Marcus Smart over here to be your third option. You brought Marcus Smart over here to bring some leadership and play defense. Lakers 26-16, up 8 in the loss column over the Clippers. To be honest with you, not exactly the bar that you want to set that you're in front of the Clippers. You're right about what you're typing in here, but that's not the bar to set. You got a lot of other teams that are really, really good in the Western Conference. That's your bar. All the Clippers are on Thursday is either a way for you to get another W, really build some momentum, make 3 wins in a row, or kill your momentum. That's all the Clippers are on Thursday. Need a defensive wing and defensive center to cover for Luka's defensive deficiency. You are not wrong, and I don't know how much they're going to be able to address that between now and February 5th and how much they're going to try to address in the offseason, but they're going to need to address all this stuff. Lakers, best clutch team in the league. Yeah, they've been great in clutch situations. They really have, which I think is, obviously a great strength for the Lakers. It says a lot about the Lakers. The thing I'd like to see go away is when they lose, they get hammered. They get demolished when they lose. Can they have some tight games where it could obviously go one way or the other, and it doesn't have to be a blowout in a loss? Yes, Lee, but expiring contracts isn't getting us Herb Jones type player. You're right about that. Absolutely not. You're right about that. You're right about that. But maybe New Orleans, like we've said before, if the Lakers could be creative, maybe they end up with a couple of first. Or listen, maybe they just can't reach the price, and that's it. Herb Jones is out of the way. It's not happening. That could also be what was it? It was the Hoop Collective podcast that an NBA general manager had said the Lakers are looking for a bargain deals. All right. Sometimes you could find good stuff at Nordstrom Rack, sometimes you can find good stuff. Glad Bulls beat the Clippers. It's terrible when the Clippers win. Ballmer dancing in his chair gets on my nerves. He puts our championship down. Well, they're in a different arena now, so you don't have to worry about that. But Ballmer does his dancing in the chair is just a very awkward thing, very weird thing. I don't understand it. Okay, let's kind of wrap up the show here. Please do me a favor, subscribe to the channel if you haven't subscribed. My next show is coming up on tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. So please hang around. We'll get into a lot more topics, obviously, about the Lakers. We'll sip a cup of coffee. We'll kick back and relax, and we'll talk Lakers and NBA. So I'm looking forward to that. Next member show, Friday at 10 a.m. That's when I'm going to do it. Friday at 10 a.m., I'm going to have a member show. So hope you guys can join for that. And if you're not yet a member, please consider being a member as well. Lakers over the Nuggets, 115-107. I appreciate you guys all being a part of the show. A big win for the Lakers, like I mentioned, and we'll see if they could continue to build off this win. Appreciate it. Hope you guys have a good night. I will see you guys tomorrow morning at 8 a.m.